Hello again. So I'll show you what we got going on today. Um, Here's that split I was working on last time, and I did take some time to get the smaller splits in closer to the trunk. I got their first twisted them out a little more and got their first directional bends in there, because I need to do that. If I get too far out, I won't be able to work with those. But I thought I'd just show you how I go about getting that done on this next batch. Of course, I don't want to do the exact same thing I did here over here, because we're trying to do pattern but not pattern. That's what nature does. Pattern but not pattern. Hard thing to explain. And it's always good to get the adjacent wires as far out of the way as you can. Just makes things a little easier. Now here, I think rather than having the innermost root come over this one, I'm going to do the opposite, because there's not a whole lot. I mean, because basically the roots, it's pretty much the same basic design. I got one from the middle and one shooting out to the right. So there's not a whole lot of choices I have here to make things different. But we're going to go as different as possible. And actually, I wouldn't have to do something different. I could have done the same and then done different on the next one. Because let's face it, there's only so much difference you can cram in here at the start. But in this case, I don't have a logical reason why. It's just what my brain decided to do. So if this one's going to go under, gotta be careful. Don't break a wire. So this one's going to have to start going underneath right away here. And I don't want it to be too far underneath. I want it to poke up a little bit right at the start. But it looks to me like I'm going to have to. Once again, I'm just going to get in here, moving one strand at a time. Try and get this out of the way a little bit so I can see what's going on in there. And the first thing I see is there's a little goofiness right in here. I need to get that little piece of wire that's there. And that one, this first one over here, turn to the left at first. So I'm just going to leave this one where it is. I'm not going to change it. Now why doesn't that one want to? Boy, I imagine this might be really boring for some of you. I suppose if you get too bored, you could say, please stop. I'm bored. Whoa, got one trying to poke me. And you might also say, hey, I can't see what you're doing. I'll join the club. The other thought I had is, there's not really that much to talk about while I'm doing something like this. And I think at this point, I'm going to tighten this one up a little bit with my flat pliers. But like I said, there's not so much to talk about. So I thought, I'm going to have to talk about something else besides making trees. And it's funny, I haven't owned a television for an awful long time. When I was younger, in my early 20s, still had a TV, but I wasn't really watching it all that much. But I had a party, and people started watching the TV. And I said, "That's a party. You shouldn't watch the TV." And I would just turn it off and say, "Yeah, quit doing that." And eventually it would get turned back on, and I'd go into that room again, see it on again, and say, "Hey, I told you no TV. It's party. Party, no TV. TV not good for party." And I think it happened like 3 times, if I remember correctly. And I was fairly inebriated at this point. And since one solution to the problem was not working, I decided to try something new that I knew would at least work for the rest of the party. And I threw it off the 2nd-story balcony. Well, let me tell you, that party really got going after that. It was a good party. People had fun. They talked about stuff. And I thought I'd get another one. Everybody's like, "Ah, yeah, you go and buy another one tomorrow. You'll be bored. You'll want to watch some TV." And I thought I probably would too. But I don't know how. But I never did. I don't think I'd be making trees right now if I would have gotten another TV. I'd probably be sitting there watching TV right now. But since I really wasn't making trees, I think I had made 1 or 2 of them when the TV thing happened. It wasn't really a big thing in my life yet. Okay, now I gotta figure out, I know this one's gonna go underneath and this one's gonna go over top, but now do I go under or over this one? And I think I'm gonna go under, so I gotta kind of plan ahead for that. And probably be a good idea to kind of get these guys over the top of this next one here a little bit, because that's what's going to have to happen eventually. But where was I now? Yeah, back to the television. So yeah, I don't know. I'd always been interested in science. It was one of the classes I always got good grades in. I was one of them kids that wanted to know how everything worked, and it seemed science would tell me that. Or at least about, physical aspects of the world. And it was around that time the internet was starting to be a thing. And of course, since it was developed by scientists, they were really the first people to use it. So a lot of scientific information would become available on the internet early on, and it's still the case today. So I was able to read a lot about science, which I did. And I still do today. And when I was younger, I thought, science is this great thing. It's what's making the world a better place. It's increasing the human lifespan, and we keep building better and better machines. So I was kind of a science cheerleader. But the other thing about the internet that, you know, came into being shortly after is that you could get news from all over the world. Okay, so you can see things starting to shape up there. Boy, I wonder if these glasses are even recording. Can I look over there and see? Hold on, I gotta move them because I can't see up. Oh, it looks like they're still recording. I can tell they're starting to get a little warm. Not as hot as that one day when they decided to stop recording audio, so I think you can hear me. Yeah, but because I could read news from everywhere, I started you know, notice it, whoops, a trend. And that trend was how we seem to be having problems with a lot of the, the things we were making were more and more turning out to be poisons. And that they would get into the groundwater somewhere, and folks would be drinking them, and all of a sudden the cancer rates, wherever this one chemical was showing up in the groundwater, would skyrocket. Of course, this kind of alarmed me because this science stuff that I was so fond of, thought was such a great thing, slowly but surely, the more I looked, it was looking more, turning out like it might actually be a problem. When I was younger, and I guess I kind of thought, well, you know, we'll see that this is a problem, and we'll use more science to figure out a way around this whole poisoning thing, and we'll get smart, and we won't make some new chemical and just start spreading it everywhere and not, you know, taking the time to test it. But that never really seemed to happen. It seemed like we just make new stuff, and like Teflon, for example. New chemical, nothing sticks to it. Oh, great. Let's put that on all our pans, and we won't have to scrub our pan as hard when we make our eggs in the morning. Modern convenience. Time saved. Life is easier. Well, some of you may know that it turns out cooking our food in Teflon pans, especially if you're prone to be an attentive cook and you burn things once in a while, like a lot of younger cooks might do. That Teflon ain't so good for you. Okay, the glasses are getting pretty warm, but you can see I'm starting to get some stuff going on here that does not look like the stuff over here. And these glasses fill up pretty quick when I'm shooting 1080p, but I think you guys can see what I got going on there and how I go about that. If anybody wants me to do some more of this so you can see what I'm doing on the next one, I'll be glad to shoot some video, some more of that. But you know, at this part it seems pretty simple. So I don't know if you got any questions, stuff you want me to shoot on the next video. I imagine that been getting a lot of questions about adding strands lately, so anytime I add some strands in here, I'll go ahead and shoot some video of that. But unless somebody wants, I'm just going to keep doing this work on these first ones here and get all the way around, and I'm not going to shoot much video unless I end up adding some strands in somewhere, unless somebody really wants me to shoot some more of this video. So be careful, don't poke your eye out. Always keep an eye out on these wires. They're going to try. The really good thing is just whenever you're working somewhere, look to the left and right, and if you got wires where the end is pointed right at your eyeball, you bend them out of the way. So there, that one, I would bend that out of the way. I like to live dangerous, and sometimes I don't. But I have got years of experience dodging wires, and I'm talking like 30 years. So, you know, I don't know, I played a little more fast and loose, but you probably shouldn't. Anyway, hope everybody's having fun. Talk to you later.